Hey guys, Lukewarm Mining here. Hope you all are doing well. So, someone actually commented on one of my other videos that I should do a teardown guide on these CMP cards and getting them ready to mine. Honestly, I thought that maybe these were a little bit simple, but I actually did have a couple people reach out to me afterwards about it. So, what I'm going to go ahead and do is actually do a teardown on this card and getting these things ready for, well, the eventual bull run that is coming. So, a bunch of you guys picked up these ones. These are all refurbed, so honestly, anytime I get a card used, I always tear them apart, repad them, and repaste them. So today, I'm going to show you guys how to take these apart, get them all pasted up, give you an idea what the layout looks like under them, and get them up and running again. So these have been running in my garage for a couple weeks now. You don't need to tear them down that often. Usually, I'd say like a good interval for doing teardowns. It's probably 6 months, maybe a little bit sooner if you live in a very dusty area. Clearly I do. You can see all the dust all over this thing. I live by the desert, so I get a lot of the windstorms and stuff that come out here, and it brings in a lot of debris. Also live on a hillside that doesn't have plants all over it. So again, lots of dust and debris getting blown down, goes through the intakes in my garage, and winds up in the GPUs. Anyways, so over here is where our GPU and the memory for the GPU is. It's all on one die. Power stages are under here. So first things first, you're going to flip this thing over and look how dusty this guy is. And you're only going to have to take off these 4 screws. Now I recommend leaving it flat like this, putting a tiny bit of weight, and just slowly taking these screws off. Do a couple turns here, do a couple turns there. Kind of doing a cross pattern, just so we keep even pressure on that die. So you'll see when this thing comes apart, die is absolutely huge on this GPU. So there's not really a set order to do this stuff. You'll see when this thing releases and comes off, you'll hear it. It's a pretty loud bang. I'm doing this with one hand. I would recommend doing it with 2 hands, just so you can keep some pressure on the GPU itself. These are captive, if memory serves me correctly. Yep. And this big old thing is going to try to release off of here. You can see 1, 2, 3 up. This thing is huge. It is heavy. It is thick. Look at that, cooling plate on there. And that is the die. Also with that die, look at the power delivery on this thing. It's absolutely massive. But these things, like I said, are really easy to work on and repaste because it's literally just 4 screws. Remember, these were meant to be in server chassis, and these were meant to be in data centers. Extra screws, making it a pain in the ass to take off the shrouds and remove all the components that you need to get to, adds to more downtime. So making it 4 screws, repaste, re-screw together, significantly easier. So in the idea of doing a complete teardown on this, I'm going to go ahead and remove this entire backplate. Like I said, these are data center cards. They should be really, really easy to take apart. As you can see, I'm literally just one-handing this. I don't need any kind of crazy special tools or crazy torque. I will say from the factory, or from when I got them, these things had super crazy torque on the screws for that GPU plate. I don't think it really matters as long as you bottom them out, because they are on spring retainers. So they're already gonna have the correct mounting pressure. Boom. Alrighty, let's get this thing split. And it does look like there's some thermal pads in them, but check out that power delivery. Holy shit. So if I remember correctly, someone mentioned that this is like well over 600 watts worth of power delivery. Like I said, these just come from the oh man, I'm already forgetting the generation, I'm sorry. These are just normally like a data center card that they've converted to be a CMP. So instead of them being 16x, they're only 1x. Maybe there's something wrong with the controllers on this. Even so much as, look, there's still output ports on this thing. Not that attaching to this would do anything. Essentially, these have a VBIOS chip that locks these things down. So unless you, and they're one-time write, you can't write over them. So you would have to remove, it's not that, but you'd have to remove the BIOS chip off of their reflashes to be whatever the data center equivalent is. Replace all the components that are potentially missing on this. Looks like right here, there's actually a bunch of resistors that are missing on the PCI lane itself. And you'd still have to add some kind of video output on them. Though it looks like it's still there, they're just using the same PCB. So there you go, guys. That's what the inside of this thing looks like. And then if you want to, there are pads that look like they can be replaced on there and have been replaced at some point. Honestly, I don't really touch the inside of the cards here with the pads. It could help, but I mean, these things at most, you're running anywhere from 100 to 250 watts. And it's extremely overkill. Like I said, this card, when it's not a crypto mining card, is like rated for 600 watts of pull. So I'll go ahead and measure these out real quick just so you know what the pad sizes are. Though I'm looking at them, they look like they're 1 to 2 mil. These ones look like they're 1 mil. Those ones over there look like they're 2 mil. Alrighty, so I did just hit these with the caliper. They are 1 mil pads. I went to touch them and they're so dry. So I take back what I just said. I'm gonna replace all the pads on these ones and on my other one. So unfortunately, I didn't have 1 mil pads. I have this like 1.5 mil, 2 mil pad. So we're gonna see if it fits all right. Honestly, like I said, this thing just has this aluminum heatsink on there that just basically kind of touches some of the components you can see on this side. So I'm not super concerned about how much heat transfer goes over here, especially with how much airflow is going through them. But didn't clean the inside. Could have probably alcoholed this, but in all honesty, it's just gonna get as dirty in about a week. So I'm gonna go ahead and reassemble this and yeah, see how it runs. Alrighty, so as you can see, all of the screws are back in. It's all reassembled, super easy. By the way, I did measure these screws. They are all the same length. Went ahead and put the bracket back on for the PCI. And now we're gonna go over how to apply thermal paste to this. So I know you guys are like, wow, I know how to put on thermal paste. And that's true, you know, it's pretty simple. You just put it on there. But what I will say is it's a little bit different than doing it on a normal GPU because you have this massive die. So if you're running, those are the HBM modules right here on the outside. That is what would normally be like those GDDR6 memory chips and stuff like that, is it integrate into the die. That's the whole point of HBM, is how close the memory is to the core. It allows it to have some really crazy bus speeds and access speeds, and that's why it's great in AI applications and big server applications, because having quick access to memory means you can transfer big files in and out a lot quicker. So what we're going to do is do what you normally do, big old dot in the center. And what I like to do is add a little bit onto the HBMs themselves too, just to make sure that it does squeeze all the way out. I clearly put on way too much last time that I did this. This tube's running out anyway, so I don't really care. I have a new tube coming in, but honestly, you need to make sure you got a little bit at least on the dies. And that's it. Now you take your big old cooler over here and stick it on there. What I will say is that this thing takes a little finagling to get on there too, because there's only 4 screws that hold it on there. So you do kind of have to line it up, and there's a lot of clamping pressure on this. So honestly, putting it together is definitely a two-handed job versus taking it apart. You could get away with just one. You do have to do kind of a little wiggle with the heatsink and with the screws to get them started. What I like to do is kind of catch them on the thread and do a couple turns, and do that for all of them so they at least catch, and then it also centers this. Then same thing as before, when you're clamping these down. Now we have our almost fully assembled CMP card. Go ahead and get the shroud on there. Alrighty guys, as you can see, I have my CMP cards up and running here, repadded, repasted, and good to go. They've been on Dynex for a little bit here, no weird temperature spikes or anything like that. So the pads, they may be too big, but they seem to be working. So anyways, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, feel free to leave them down below or reach out to me on Discord. I'm really active over on Discord. Obviously, liking and subscribing. Subscribing makes a huge difference. That's actually why I got sent these cards. They ended up seeing one of my videos because it does, you know, help out with the YouTube algorithm. So Anyways, I'll be probably streaming this weekend, thinking about also tearing down these BC250 cards and doing the exact same thing, just getting everything prepared for the, eventual bull run. All right, take care, guys. Peace.